wanted to hop on here and talk about my theory on Instagram face because in my opinion, Instagram didn't just change the way that we looked, it rewired what our brain wants.
Bette Davis looks old enough to be my mother, and so dreadfully overweight.
Joan Crawford has slept with every male star at MGM.
Have you ever scrolled through Instagram and felt like everyone kind of looks the same? The sharp contoured nose, the pillow-like lips, the poreless glassy skin. It's almost uncanny. Like we're all auditioning for the same filtered role in the same virtual movie. This look, now famously dubbed the Instagram face, has become the default beauty standard of the digital age. It's symmetrical, it's sculpted, it's ageless, and it's everywhere. But the desire to achieve a new ideal face isn't a new phenomenon. In fact, we've been here before. Nearly a century ago, old Hollywood was perfecting its own version of this aesthetic. Back then, it wasn't Facetune or filler doing the work. It was studio lighting tricks, custom wigs, strategic makeup, and airbrush publicity stills. Stars like Joan Crawford and Bette Davis were meticulously styled, sculpted, and even surgically altered to embody a beauty ideal that was just as narrowly defined as today's, and just as powerful. The tools have changed, but the pressure to conform hasn't. In this video, we're going to explore the evolution of the ideal face from the golden age of Hollywood to the age of Instagram. We'll dive into the historical obsession with symmetry and flawlessness, examine how social media has created a digital echo chamber of sameness, and reflect on what this relentless pursuit of perfection means for our sense of self. Because when everyone's face starts to blend together, we have to ask, what are we really chasing and what are we losing in the process? Let's unpack it all.
Now, a word from our sponsor.
Have you ever wondered how those random scam texts and robocalls got your number? I feel the same way. I recently Googled my name and email and wow, my personal info is just out there on dozens of sites. I'll blur this out so you don't have to see everything, but look at this. These are data broker sites selling my info to anyone, marketers, scammers, even stalkers. This is why I started using Aura, today's sponsor. Aura is an all-in-one digital security solution that I actually use and recommend to my friends and family. These data brokers collect and sell your info without your permission. Legally, they're supposed to remove it if you ask, but they make that process almost impossible on purpose. Aura fixes that. They handle all the hard stuff for you, automatically requesting removals and making sure your info stays off those sketchy websites. But Aura is much more than that. This is what you get. Alerts if your info's found on the dark web, real-time fraud monitoring for your credit card and bank accounts, a secure VPN, antivirus, and a password manager, plus $5 million in identity theft, insurance, and 24/7 US-based support. Honestly, it's wild that these companies profit off of selling your data. It's invasive, it's unfair, and that's why I choose Aura. You can try Aura free for 14 days with the link below in my description box and pinned comment. In 2 weeks, you'll see just how much of your personal info is being exposed, and you can start taking it back. Alright, let's jump back into the main video. Chapter 1. Old Hollywood's Ideal Face. The golden age of Hollywood from the roaring 20s through the mid-50s wasn't just about movies, it was about crafting perfection. Beauty as defined by Hollywood studios was something meticulously engineered behind the scenes. The stars we now celebrate as timeless icons, Joan Crawford with her fierce eyebrows and striking cheekbones, Bette Davis with her piercing eyes, or Katharine Hepburn's famously angular face, weren't simply discovered. They were meticulously shaped and curated. Studios like MGM, Paramount, and Warner Brothers exercised ruthless control over their actors' appearances, viewing them less as individuals and more as carefully manufactured products. Back then, Hollywood's ideal face was all about exaggerated symmetry and features that could withstand the dramatic effects of studio lighting and black and white film. Makeup artists became masters of illusion, using contour techniques decades before they hit mainstream tutorials. To achieve that signature Hollywood glamour, every facial feature was scrutinized and perfected. Actresses frequently had their eyebrows eyebrows shaped into sharp, dramatic arches to frame their eyes, their cheekbones accentuated with shadowing powders, and their lips lined to perfection, creating the distinctive Cupid's bow associated with the era. Yet it wasn't just makeup. Studios used every trick in the book to achieve their flawless aesthetic. Harsh studio lighting highlighted the slightest imperfection, prompting cinematographers and photographers to strategically position lights and filters to reshape or soften features. For example, Marlene Dietrich famously demanded custom lighting setups to narrow her face and create an ethereal glow, while Joan Crawford's striking facial structure was further dramatized by using precise lighting angles, emphasizing shadows to define her jawline and cheekbones. These subtle yet transformative tricks shaped the audience's perception of beauty, crafting a standard that was largely artificial yet deeply influential. Even promotional images were subject to intense manipulation long before Photoshop. Studio retouchers meticulously airbrushed away wrinkles, smoothed out blemishes, and even subtly reshaped noses or slimmed down faces in publicity stills. The purpose was clear: maintain the illusion of eternal youth and perfection. Movies like All About Eve famously showcased stars like Bette Davis in carefully retouched promotional photos, softly diffusing imperfections and enhancing symmetry. This cultivated a standard of beauty that audiences came to expect and idolize, deeply embedding unrealistic standards into the culture. Then there was the infamous studio system itself, employing a strict formula called the Matthew effect. Once a certain look became successful, be it Jean Harlow's platinum curls or Vivian Lee's delicate sculpted features, it quickly turned into the studio's blueprint. Aspiring actresses were routinely pressured to alter their natural looks to fit these popular molds, and the industry had no qualms about recommending invasive measures from dieting and hair coloring to early forms of plastic surgery. Young hopefuls were often bluntly told their noses needed thinning or their cheeks sculpted, decisions that could make or break careers. Judy Garland was famously subjected to relentless criticism about her appearance, forced into painful beauty routines and diets to achieve the ideal look. The difference from today's filter-laden selfie culture was not merely technical, it was psychological. In old Hollywood, beauty standards were fiercely exclusive and ruthlessly controlled by select few studio executives. Actresses' images were publicly managed, but privately policed, with little room for deviation. Beauty was a constructed illusion maintained through an intense combination of lighting, makeup, editing, and a carefully curated public personas. It was sold as aspirational, yet simultaneously made to feel unattainable, perpetuating a never-ending pursuit of a standard that rarely reflected reality. This leaves us with an intriguing question. Have we changed all that much? While today's digital filters allow individuals to alter their appearance at the swipe of a finger, the intent remains eerily similar. To fit a singular, highly polished ideal, old Hollywood set the stage for the homogenization of beauty, and its influence echoes clearly in our modern digital age. So reflect on this. When you see those glam shot photos flooding your Instagram feed, have you ever paused and thought, that nose can't be real? Back in the 1940s, audiences often couldn't even guess how dramatically their favorite stars' appearances had been retouched. Perhaps we were more forgiving then, or perhaps we were simply less aware. And what do you think? Was the illusion easier to accept when the retouching was hidden behind closed doors, rather than openly displayed on the app? I mean, ignorance is bliss in some ways. Like when you don't realize any of this per se, then it's almost like you're happier. But then once you realize that everything's fake, then it kind of opens everything up. Chapter 2, the Instagram face. Fast forward nearly a century, and the curated perfection of old Hollywood has found a digital counterpart, the Instagram face. If old Hollywood's beauty was defined by film studios, today's aesthetic is guided by algorithms, celebrities, and the pressure of online validation. Picture this: Kylie Jenner's famously plump lips, Bella Hadid's sharply defined nose and sculpted cheekbones, combined with the impossibly smooth, glassy skin popularized by Korean beauty routines. This hyper-polished, hyper-symmetrical look isn't limited to celebrities anymore. It's on your feed, your Explore page, and quite possibly even reflected back at you through your own selfies. What's driving this phenomenon? The first culprit is obvious and right at your fingertips: digital filters. Apps like Facetune, Snapchat, and Instagram itself have made image retouching quick, easy, and instantly gratifying. These filters effortlessly smooth skin, slim noses, whiten teeth, and enhance eyes, each adjustment subtly nudging our faces closer to a standardized beauty ideal. With a single tap, flaws vanish, and faces conform to an eerily similar pattern: high cheekbones, full lips, slender noses, and flawless, poreless complexions. I've tried editing my face in some of those apps, and it is creepy what you can do. Like, you can completely transform your entire face. And unlike carefully controlled studio retouching of old Hollywood, these filters are democratized. Everyone now has the power to digitally alter their appearance in seconds, creating a feedback loop that normalizes this filtered aesthetic. And it's true, back then in old Hollywood, it's not like everyone could just go in and get these dramatic headshots with the studio lighting. It was a select few of actresses, but now everyone has the ability to do that if they want to, and you just download an app. A second major factor contributing to the rise of the Instagram face is the booming popularity of injectables and cosmetic procedures. Botox, derma fillers, lip injections, and cheek augmentation have become as routine as getting a haircut. Plastic surgeons and med spas openly advertise Instagram face packages, services promising immediate transformations that mimic the signature looks of popular influencers and celebrities. In the quest for likes and validation, these procedures have moved beyond Hollywood and entered the mainstream, accessible to virtually anyone with the desire and financial means to conform to the trending beauty standard. But unlike filters, the effects of cosmetic enhancements are not just digital illusions. They physically alter faces, cementing the Instagram aesthetic in real life. The third force behind this phenomenon is social proof. The idea that behaviors and appearances rewarded by likes, follows, and shares become inherently desirable. When influencers or celebrities gain attention for their enhanced and carefully crafted looks, their followers naturally aspire to achieve the same standards. Social validation reinforces these beauty norms, perpetuating a cycle that amplifies and rewards conformity. Likes become a currency, subtly nudging users toward aesthetic decisions that will ensure maximum engagement and approval, creating pressure to meet or maintain that glossy ideal. In this ecosystem, authenticity and individuality becomes secondary to the algorithmically rewarded sameness. And speaking of algorithms, the fourth driver is exactly that: the mechanics of Instagram itself. Instagram's algorithm carefully curates your Explore page, promoting and amplifying images that already align with the platform's most popular aesthetic, the Instagram face. Because the platform continuously recommends images based on existing preferences and engagement, users are fed a consistent visual diet of faces that all share remarkably similar features. This repetition creates a digital echo chamber, reinforcing the perception that beauty looks a certain way. Instead of embracing diversity, the algorithm unintentionally fosters uniformity, continually elevating a standardized beauty that feels both desirable and achievable, yet frustratingly unattainable for most. Pop culture has begun to grapple with this filtered reality. Documentaries like Unfollowed, The Facetune Effect, reveal the darker consequences of constant retouching, and movements such as the No Makeup Challenge and celebrity-led initiatives advocating for more authentic portrayals online have emerged in response. Stars like Selena Gomez, Alicia Keys, and Zendaya have openly challenged the filtered perfection dominating social media, posting barefaced selfies to reclaim authenticity and highlight the unrealistic beauty expectations imposed by filters and algorithms. Yet despite these efforts, the Instagram face remains resilient. It's deeply embedded in our digital culture, continually reinforced by social media, advertising, and peer validation. The democratization of beauty, once seen as empowering, now feels restrictive. The filtered ideal has become so pervasive that it reshapes our self-perception, making us increasingly uncomfortable with our unfiltered selves. Have you ever applied a filter and have been genuinely startled by your transformation reflection? If so, you've experienced firsthand the strange sense of distortion that filters create, subtly influencing our identities, making us question what's real and what's merely digital fantasy. And I feel like that would be difficult, especially if you were coming of age, like 12 or 13, and then you started altering yourself with those filters. I feel like that would be difficult. So I'm kind of glad I didn't grow up with all that. And we find ourselves at a pivotal moment. Just like the Hollywood glamour of the past, today's curated aesthetic leaves little room for uniqueness or natural imperfection. Both eras, though different in their tools, have the same underlying issue: our relentless pursuit of an idealized appearance. As we scroll through countless filtered images that all start to blend together, we must confront the critical question. In this quest for digital perfection, What have we sacrificed in terms of individuality and authenticity? Chapter 3, Pop Culture Influences. Every generation has its beauty icons, each leaving an indelible mark on our collective imagination and shaping the faces we strive to emulate. From the bold, rebellious flappers of the 20s to the glamorous Hollywood sirens of the 50s, and now today's digitally curated influencers, pop culture continuously dictates and reflects society's standards of beauty. In the silent film era of the 20s, the archetype of beauty was defined by stars like Clara Bow, whose dramatically lined doe eyes and luminous porcelain skin set an enduring standard. Young actresses of this era used heavy makeup to exaggerate their features under the harsh lights of black and white film. Boldly drawn eyes, sharply defined lips, and powdered faces designed to radiate an ethereal glow. Even today, these same exaggerated features linger in our digital realm, evident in the popularity of filters that enlarge eyes, smooth complexions, and artificially enhance the natural contours of our face. This almost cartoonish ideal persists nearly a century later, proving the deep-seated influence of early film icons. Moving forward to the 50s, beauty ideals evolved but maintained their artificial precision. Icons like Marilyn Monroe, Elizabeth Taylor, and Brigitte Bardot embodied the voluptuous, sculpted femininity of the post-war era. Pin-up models and movie stars of this period became synonymous with full, pouty lips, sharply contoured cheekbones, and dramatically arched eyebrows. Marilyn Monroe's distinctive pout and Elizabeth Taylor's perfectly symmetrical face became benchmarks that later resurfaced in the digital beauty trend we recognize today, particularly the Instagram-driven obsession with plump lips and clearly defined facial structure achieved through makeup and injectables. Today's lip filler craze can be traced directly back to these mid-century beauty idols, echoing the lasting impact of their meticulously crafted features. Now, in our hyper-connected age, beauty ideals are predominantly shaped by influencers and celebrities whose meticulously curated appearances flood our social media feeds. Figures like Kim Kardashian, Kylie Jenner, and Hailey Bieber have created entirely new standards, blending aspects of past eras but amplifying them with digital precision. These modern beauty icons wield immense power. With a single post, they can popularize trends from contouring and baking to the subtlety of glass skin. Each new aesthetic they champion rapidly permeates the online world, influencing millions of followers who aspire to recreate these seemingly flawless images. Their curated beauty becomes aspirational, perpetuating the desire to emulate these highly polished, yet often unattainable looks. Even fictional icons such as Barbie, whose recent blockbuster film pushed her iconic look back into the spotlight, continue to influence the real-world beauty ideals. Barbie's symmetrical features, impossibly slender proportions, and perpetually youthful appearance have shaped generations' perceptions of beauty standards. Her resurgence reminds us how deeply fictional characters can embed themselves into cultural beauty expectations, serving as constant reminders of an ideal that, while unattainable, remains relentlessly influential. Yet, as powerful as these influences are, we're beginning to see a shift in response to the relentless pursuit of perfection. Movements like unrealistic beauty and filter drop challenge the carefully edited faces dominating our feeds, calling out the gap between Instagram beauty and reality. Many celebrities have publicly addressed the unrealistic standards perpetuated online, advocating instead for authenticity and diversity. But despite this pushback, the cycle remains remarkably resilient. Pop culture creates the icons shape beauty standards, and those standards feed right back into the culture, each iteration becoming more stylized, more digitized, and less authentically human. Beauty ideals then are more than fleeting trends. They're a cultural feedback loop, constantly reinforced by the media, celebrity influence, and digital platforms. And reflect for a moment and think about who your beauty icon is. And has chasing their aesthetic ever made you feel invisible or inadequate in comparison? As we recognize these influences, we can begin to question whether the endless loop of beauty standards truly serve us, or simply narrows our vision of what it means to be beautiful. Chapter 4. The cost of digital sameness. At first glance, scrolling through perfectly filtered selfies can seem harmless, just another part of digital life. But beneath the flawless surface lies a troubling question. What exactly is the cost of chasing digital perfection? First and foremost is the toll on mental health. Studies consistently highlight the troubling connection between filter use and increased anxiety. depression, and even body dysmorphia. The ease and instant gratification of filters created a dangerously addictive cycle. The more we alter appearances digitally, the more dissatisfaction we feel with our real faces. When the reflection in our mirrors no longer matches the image we've carefully constructed online, it can trigger severe distress and a damaging sense of inadequacy. Young people especially feel the burden, with experts warning about rising rates of anxiety among teenagers who are constantly comparing their natural selves to the filtered, idealized images. The gap between the digital illusion and physical reality widens, causing many to feel trapped in a cycle of perpetual dissatisfaction. Beyond the individual emotional toll, there's a deeper psychological cost: the loss of identity. The widespread popularity of the Instagram face, a homogenized standard where uniqueness disappears into carefully sculpted uniformity, has diminished the features that once marked us as individuals. Freckles, wrinkles, birthmarks, uneven skin tones, or quirky facial expressions are now easily erased, replaced by smooth, symmetrical, and increasingly identical faces. When everyone strives for the same perfected look, we risk losing the nuances that make us recognizably human. These erased imperfections, once celebrated as markers of individuality and character, become reasons for anxiety and shame instead. Another unexpected consequence is diminished empathy. The repetitive scrolling through images of nearly identical, perfected faces can lead to emotional numbness. When every face becomes interchangeable, we subconsciously begin to see them less as distinct individuals and more as superficial, impersonal objects, more akin to perfectly arranged wallpaper than real, complex human beings. And researchers warn that this superficial engagement, fueled by endless exposure to curated images, could reduce genuine and emotional connection, leaving us feeling isolated even as we remain digitally connected. Then comes the aftermath of regret. An increasing number of influencers and everyday people are sharing candid reflections about their experiences with cosmetic enhancements, expressing remorse after realizing that these changes did not provide the lasting confidence or satisfaction they hoped for. The trend of publicly reversing filters, dissolving Botox, or speaking openly about cosmetic regrets has grown significantly. Many influencers like Molly May Hague and Kylie Jenner have spoken candidly about scaling back on lip fillers and embracing more natural appearances. I mean, obviously Kylie Jenner is not natural. I think she got a facelift. This reversal reveals a critical insight. Even achieving the widely idolized Instagram face rarely delivers the fulfillment we expect. It can lead instead to a deeper feeling of disconnection from oneself, promoting a renewed desire for authenticity and natural beauty. Interestingly, we're seeing the emergence of digital counter-movements like Filter Fail and No Filter Challenge, championed by creators who intentionally pose unfiltered, unedited selfies to showcase the reality over illusion. And this push for authenticity represents a broader societal shift towards reclaiming individuality and accepting imperfections. However, despite their positive intentions, these movements remain relatively niche compared to the dominant filter-driven aesthetic, highlighting just how deeply ingrained the pursuit of digital perfection has become. The overarching message from social media and popular culture often seems to scream, "Look like everyone else." Yet amid the sea of sameness, something increasingly valuable and rare emerges: authenticity. Our imperfections, quirks, and unique features now hold more potential value precisely because they are becoming less common. They differentiate us in a world overwhelmed by similarity, offering a genuine counterpoint to the relentless pressure to conform. So let's pause and ask ourselves a meaningful question. If you had the power to set one rule for online beauty standards, what would it be? Would it be a ban on all filters, a limit of one subtle adjustment per photo, or simply a mandate for transparency about your edits? By reflecting on this, we take a critical step towards reshaping how beauty is defined and reclaiming this genuine human connection that digital perfection threatens to erase. Chapter 5. Rediscovering Authenticity. While the pressure to conform to digital beauty ideals can feel overwhelming, there's an increasingly powerful movement pushing back, rediscovering your authentic self. Embracing our real faces, imperfections, and all is becoming the new rebellion against filtered perfection. Across social media, more people are celebrating texture, texture, tone, and unique characteristics that make each person feel individual. And there's been many hashtags now on social media where people genuinely want to show their flaws and their real skin and their textures, posting raw, untouched images, and then everyday people can challenge this unrealistic beauty standard. Unfortunately, it feels like the Kardashians, the one, are always perpetuating the Instagram face, and as long as people are still, looking up to them and allowing them to set the standards, it really makes it hard, even though I do appreciate that people are trying to push out against this. And another crucial step towards reclaiming authenticity involves shifting our mindset around selfies. Rather than seeing every photo as a potential performance or carefully curated moment, people are increasingly embracing selective selfies, low pressure, candid shots, taken in natural lighting without the heavy filters and flash. This movement encourages us to see beauty in simplicity, capturing moments exactly as they happen rather than editing reality into perfection. And the result is not just less pressure, but also a renewed sense of ease and freedom in a way we present ourselves digitally, shifting the narrative from perfection to authenticity. And celebrating uniqueness has also become central in redefining beauty standards. Those freckles that were once concealed with heavy foundation, now they're proudly displayed as natural constellations on the skin. The gummy smiles, the gap teeth, the distinctive eyebrows, all once seen as flaws, are increasingly recognized as defining elements of personal identity. Embracing these unique features doesn't mean abandoning self-care or self-expression. Instead, it means recognizing that the features society once encouraged us to erase are actually essential for our individuality. Influencers and everyday social media users are openly highlighting the perceived imperfections, not as weakness, but as a powerful statements of self-love and confidence. This shift in beauty culture is reflected in the changing attitudes of celebrities and role models as well. Stars like Emma Stone and even Selena Gomez have openly discussed their skin challenges, struggles, with confidence and behind-the-scenes beauty routines. When these influential figures choose authenticity over carefully maintained illusions, they set powerful examples for millions of followers. And recent celebrity interviews and public pledges to produce more genuine, unfiltered content show a significant turning point in pop culture, signaling that even the most scrutinized individuals are embracing vulnerability and transparency. Rediscovering authenticity doesn't mean rejecting beauty entirely or dismissing self-expression. Rather, it's a subtle yet profound shift towards valuing personality, texture, and uniqueness over sterilized perfection. Each face carries its own story, defined by a combination of genetics, life experiences, and individual stories that filters can never fully capture. So here's your chance to celebrate yourself. What's one unique feature or you genuinely love about your face? Is it a dimple when you smile, a beauty mark that's yours, or perhaps the shape of your eyes? We've traveled through nearly a century of beauty ideals, from old Hollywood's strategic use of lighting and retouching, carefully shaping noses and cheekbones, to today's effortless tap and swipe filters that instantly transform faces into digital perfection. Whether created by MGM styles meticulously crafting glamour, or driven by modern apps and algorithms, the underlying goal has consistently been the same: achieving a singular ideal face. Today, this pursuit feels more accessible, yet ironically more restrictive than ever, producing an increasingly homogenized standard of beauty. But what if beauty isn't about squeezing ourselves into a rigid mold designed by someone else? What if it instead is about adapting the model to fit our true selves? And history reminds us that beauty ideals constantly evolved, and often the face we most admire have always belonged to those who dared to stand out, rather than blend in. Icons like Audrey Hepburn, Diana Ross aren't remembered because they've conformed. They're celebrated precisely because they embrace their uniqueness, reshaping beauty standards simply by being unapologetically themselves. The drive toward digital sameness doesn't just limit creativity, it profoundly impacts our identities and our sense of self-worth. When we chase perfection, we risk losing quirks, imperfections, and textures that tell our unique stories. Yet despite the pervasive pressure of digital conformity, we still have the power to pivot. We can choose authenticity over artificiality, individuality over uniformity, and confidence in our genuine features over a filtered facade. It's about reclaiming our own narrative, recognizing that our faces and the stories they carry are already enough. Think about this. Every major shift in beauty standards began not from conformity, but from courage. Authenticity is our most powerful tool in redefining beauty. And let's make a conscious choice to use filters as fun accessories, not as requirements. And let's normalize seeing and appreciating real skin and smiles in real people. So let me know in the comments below. I mean, for me, I think I'm just kind of like sick of the cyborg face. This like dead eye, you know, that like Kylie Jenner, like looking at the camera with like her weird, like robotic dead eyes. It's hard to explain, but that like weird look. And then just, I don't know, there's just something about it. I'm just like over it. It's like I started watching like the Just Like That, and like even just seeing Carrie Bradshaw's like unique features. Like she doesn't have that weird Instagram face, and it's just refreshing to see someone that looks slightly different and doesn't have the nose job and like overly filled and Botox. It gets old, and then everyone kind of looks like each other and no one looks like themselves anymore. Just like some weird AI robotic version. Is that the future? Like dead eye cyborg version? Like it creeps me out. So I just feel like I had to make this video as a rant against that. Anyways, thanks for watching.